began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell you about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere to divide Africa like a piece of cake because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered, we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them. Hey, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? It has been a while, and it's good to be back here today for this special session. Well, I'm very excited, especially to find out and to know what's really happening in Sudan. I know we have seen news here and there, and maybe you've been informed by your friends, or maybe you're from Sudan and you know what's happening, or whether you're joining us right now live or you'll see this stream later. I hope that this will be very productive to you and to everybody. We are seeing a lot of informations online here and there, but it's a time to hear the stories from our own people, right? First-hand information. And I think this is the better way to do it. Just Africans having a conversation together about what's going on in Africa, and figuring out the solutions. What can we do? Me as an African, how can I participate? How can I involve myself in this process, in the reconciliation, and bring about peace to Sudan, right? So if you're joining right now, please, you can copy this link and share with somebody. I have Sudanese brothers and sisters here in the panel today. They'll be here to share with us and as well even to answer the questions that you guys might have at the end. But most importantly, we want to hear stories and want to hear the everything that has been going on. What's the beginning? What's the start? What is the story behind of what is going on right now? Right, just to give those information to our people. Information is key, is power, and we're here to provide that. So copy this link, share with your friends, share on your groups. We're live here on YouTube. We're live on Twitter, my personal channel, Mika Chavala. We are available on Facebook page, Swahili Nation. And also I'm available on TikTok as well, Mika Chavala. So all of you guys will be able to find out and to hear what's really happening. Yeah, so do me a favor right now and, share with somebody. Near the end of this session, we'll have time for you guys to ask questions. So feel free to write down any question you want, and we'll give you a chance, guys, at the end to write down questions in the comment sections. And I have great people here. We'll get to know them soon. They'll be here to answer all of your questions. So yeah, before I begin, this session, as usual, I'm just going to have a word of prayer. and then we're gonna begin. All right. What we want, we're praying for the peace of Sudan, and we're praying for the love and unity of that country, and most importantly, unity of Africa as well. Today you'll find out how can you be involved. Or maybe you've been wondering, how can I support? How can I be involved in this process? What can I do? What should I do? Well, today you'll find out. And this is just the beginning of this conversation. We'll have a lot of conversations in the near future as well. So yeah, so I'll just have a word of prayer and we'll begin our session. God, I thank you for today. I thank you for this moment that you have given us from different countries, from different places, from different backgrounds, to just sit here and to have this conversation together. Just pray that your presence and your spirit and your peace will lead us as we navigate this journey, God. And we need you to be at the center and to help us to carry on from the beginning till the end of this session. I hope and I pray that everybody that will join here, God, will get the sense of peace. But not only that, peace for Sudan, for our people, and those families that lost their brothers, sisters, parents. God, we pray that you give them peace, and you remember them as well through this difficult time. I pray all these things in your precious name. Amen. All right. So guys, without wasting time, we're gonna have this beautiful moment to welcome my brothers and sisters here right now. And yeah, let me just put them in right here. Hey guys.
Hi, how are you, everybody?
How is everyone doing? Maybe we can start with Nuri. What's up, Nuri? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, Mika. How are you doing? I'm really glad to be here again. Unfortunately, in this very bad time
Yeah.
to my country, Sudan. But yeah, it's very important to share the like and to tell the situation of Sudan with
Yeah.
our brothers and sisters from the Horn of Africa, specifically because they are our neighbors. And yeah, thank you, Mika, for having us and talking about Sudan.
Yes. Appreciate that. I appreciate Nuri. And Sarah, can I have you as well? Feel free to introduce yourself for those who do not know you.
Hi, thank you, Mika, for having us and for organizing this space. My name is Saad Hassan, and I've been covering this crisis, this disaster, since it began. And I'm just one in a long line and a big group of people who are trying their best to get the word out and help people back home.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate Sarah. Well, can have Lagaina.
Hi, I'm Lejena Sati, and just happy to be here. Thank you for having this platform and giving us a voice to speak in. So I'm happy to be here.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yes, Dima. It's been a minute.
And a half. Maskagro. Peace and blessings, everyone. My name is Dima Mahmoud. I greet and bless you in my Nubian ancestors' tongue. I give thanks to you yielding the space, Mika, and to more and more of our African sisters and brothers awakening and recognizing our revolution of consciousness and the need to awaken and kick into action. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Mr. Gasim. What's up, brother?
Yeah, yeah. Hello, Mika. What's up, brother? Thanks a lot for having us and for enlightening our cause and spreading what is happening in Sudan. We really appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate, brother. I'm Sudanese also, so it's my duty to do this. Um,
Yeah,
Gamila, you're up.
Hi, Mika. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us and thank you for creating this space. My name is Jamila. I'm a community psychologist and I have been trying my best just to help my people back in Sudan and to highlight the crisis and how what people are going through and just to advocate for them.
Mhm. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I appreciate you guys for all the good work that you've been doing. And welcome to the family. You guys are part of the family now. We have the attendance. Once you come here, we never let you go. So you're part of us now. Yeah. So yeah, without really, wasting time, let's really dive into this. And feel free. This is a conversation, so you can say whatever you want to say. It's all right. It's a safe place. Well, so let's talk about the issue, what is going on in Sudan. I know there might be people here who are watching us right now or listening, and they have no idea. Um, of what is going on, or they've been seeing information and they don't really what to trust, what to believe, and all this stuff. But it's good that we have you guys here to give us updates on the situation, the background story, how it started, and where we are right now. Um, yeah, Sarah or Dima, whoever want to go first.
Yes, thank you, Mika, for again yielding this space, holding space for us to have this conversation. And I want to greet everyone who's tuning in, who's plugging in and hearing this live or hearing it later. And I want to start by saying, if you feel like you have no idea what's happening in Sudan, you're not alone. If you have no idea exactly how it's unfolding and all the different moving pieces and the multi-dimensional facets at play here, you are not alone. And if you don't know how we got here, how we reached this point, where so many of us just don't know, you are not alone. Every single Sudani, I don't profess to speak on every single Sudani, but it is my feeling, as I am connected to each and every one of my people on the ground and in the diaspora, is feeling exactly what you're feeling. The only difference is we have it grounded in some kind of reality, to some kind of voice coming through a phone or a message or a call to those who are lucky and blessed enough to still have access. And this is why these spaces are so important, because each of us has a piece of information that the other is looking for. And we don't even know. And so I want to really preface this conversation by saying again and again and again that when we say keep eyes on Sudan, we mean the land and the people. Always the people. And for us to be able to make that distinction between politics and power, because stuck between those two are the people, are our people. The people of Sudan, Bilad as-Sudan, the land of the blacks. And I want us to just sit with that for a moment. There are no coincidences. There's a reason of all this misinformation that's in the news. There's a reason we have to chase. We have to find each other. We have to find these dots to connect them. And they're not long enough Twitter spaces or YouTube spaces to give a history or a background of how we got here. But I think your intro video, Mika, is a starting point. Because somehow people keep talking about, oh, this is because people went out on the streets, or this is because people had the audacity to hope for change, or this is because people couldn't decide and people couldn't stay united, or people. You're really going to sit here and put it on people and ignore the system? We're really going to sit here and point at people and ignore how every single time people have come together and people rose and people have showed and left this world and ourselves wondering just where we get that power. Here is where history is important, but I beg for us that as we contextualize what's happening in Sudan, to not forget our heritage. History will always be rendered incomplete if it is attempted to be understood outside the context of heritage. There is an essential balance here between his story and her with Taj. There is balance in every aspect of that. at the heart of our revolution, at the heart of our uprising, at the heart of how our people are mobilizing and currently taking the position of the United Nations, the African Union, the World Health Organization, Amnesty International, every single embassy, every single government, every single anything who tried to be in any kind of power. We are it. And it's easy to lose track of that. So please contextualize that, because the only reason they are, until this day, unable to completely rewrite our history is that our heritage is our continuity, and it continues to be a side in their thumb, and it continues to challenge them. And our heritage you will find alive and well in our people. And I will anchor here, because this history did not start with the start of our revolution in December 2018. It did not start with Bashir coming into power. It did not start with the civil war that the international arena continued to deliberately call civil war so that they don't get engaged until they found out that the South carries more than 80% of Sudan's oil. That's when it stopped being a civil war, an international humanitarian crisis. We need to start connecting these dots.
I mean, all of that, all of that, really. But just to sort of contextualize for you what's happening now, Dima mentioned the 2018-2019 revolution. And since then, the people have always had the exact same position, which is that we want civilian rule, right? We want a government that's free of military involvement. We do not want that. We want ourselves to be able, as civilians, to rule ourselves, to govern ourselves, to see our country through to a better, brighter future. And unfortunately, the military has had a legacy, right? A long history of being involved in politics. So at this point, it's become difficult for them to see themselves outside of that, right? It's become difficult for them to accept being outside of that. And so over the last, 3 years, at least, right, of this rocky transition since the revolution, we've been stuck sort of going back and forth with the military, trying to regain control over our country and to sort of push them out of the political sphere. That has not worked. And then on a different level, right, you have a conflict or a battle between the people and the quote unquote government, being the military. And then you have an internal battle between the military itself, right? You have the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces, which is a paramilitary group that was created to wreak havoc and commit crimes in Darfur, and now has become legitimized not just by the Sudanese government, but by external powers as well. The EU, everybody else is suddenly okay with this, paramilitary group being not only a force that people rely on and use for other conflicts, for other issues like migration, like the war in Yemen, but also, on a local level, on a national level, it's okay for them to be involved in the government. It's okay for them to have a seat at the table when they have no legitimacy whatsoever. And so during this transitional period, we've seen a struggle between the military and the RSF, represented by General Burhan and Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, also known as Hemeti. They organized and orchestrated a coup against the transitional government in October of 2021, right? So they were allies. And then since then, they have been trying to outdo each other to see who's going to be survival of the fittest, right? Who's going to come out on top. And this is what we're seeing play out now as of April 15th. Now it's become an actual physical battle, right, on the ground, instead of it just being two men who are trying to be heads of state separately at the same time in one country. Now they're fighting, they're duking it out to see who's going to come out victorious. And of course, like Dima said, the people are caught in the middle, right? We didn't want either of these people. We didn't want either of these forces to be in charge of our lives. And yet here we are, not only under their boot, but also in direct danger of death and destruction because of two egos who can't duke it out in the middle of nowhere and are trying to bring Khartoum to its knees, not just Khartoum for that matter, But across the country, these battles have been taking place, right? And like I said, they have nothing to do with the people. I'm sure Oshi can give us a little bit more, can zone in a little bit more on the context. But I think the point I want to make, and I want our brothers and sisters to understand, is that in the media you're going to hear this is a civil war, right? This is a civil war. Sudan is being plunged into civil war once again, right? Because that's also our legacy in the international sphere. All that people know about us is that we have the longest standing civil war in the world, right? This is not it. That's not it. These are two forces who are battling by themselves, right? And the people are caught in the crossfire. The people in Khartoum are caught in the crossfire. The people in Darfur are caught in the crossfire, just as they have been for the last 20 years. The people of Lubayid, of different areas of the country, have been caught in this crossfire. And the last thing, I guess, I'll say before I hand over to Oshi is that, we as a people came together during the revolution. We are still united in this fact. And unfortunately, we are having to repeat our position over and over again, to scream from the hilltops, to scream into the void. And unfortunately, it feels like nobody is listening. Dima earlier mentioned that we are doing this by ourselves, and we are. During the revolution, we did it by ourselves. We overthrew Ahmed al-Bashir by ourselves, despite what they'll tell you in the media. They'll say it was a military coup. The military took over. There was a handover from al-Bashir. It was not that. It was 8 months of peaceful, nonviolent revolution that forced al-Bashir to step down, right? We did that. They didn't do that. We did that. And when they came and took over for al-Bashir and claimed that we were, that they were coming to save us, that they understood and they were against us all from the very start. And the military is for the people. The army is for the people. We still stood our ground. People still stood there and protested and toppled another military leader, and are still fighting against a third. And if you want to count Hemeti, a fourth. So I just want to make it clear that if anybody has any doubts about where the Sudanese people stand on this, that's where we are. We want this war to stop because it has nothing to do with us, and neither of these factions has the country's interests or the people's interests at heart.
Appreciate Sarah. Oh, she can jump in.
Actually, yeah, I do agree about you can find a lot of similarities between the revolution going through the whole world, but you won't find a revolution that long time of years. Now, 4 years are still in the street. 4 years, everybody try to steal our revolution from us. The military always want to make another dismantle the power, take the power from the side.
Sorry. Can
Can
you
you guys hear Oshi?
hear Gassim, or it's only me?
No, me too. Oshi, we can hear you.
Raise your voice, please.
There must be there must be something wrong.
You can hear me now.
You're still cutting a little bit.
It's a little bit better, but you're still kind of far away.
Yeah. Nope.
No.
Maybe you can do this. You can leave for a second and then try to come back. We'll wait for you.
I'll continue the context while you figure it out, Oshi. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Right. So what's happening since the 15th, like I said, is these battles between the RSF and the Sudanese armed forces in Khartoum. It's been in the Lubayid. It's been across the Darfur region. It's been in Damazin. It's been in different areas around Sudan. And unfortunately, the international community that was so intent on creating a partnership between the military and the civilians dipped as soon as it got tough. As soon as things got rough, they left, and they left us to deal with the fallout. The difference is, I mean, a lot of people are very surprised about what's happening in Sudan. Sudanese people as well, being surprised that, oh my God, how could this be happening in Khartoum, right? And I want to say right now that Sudan has unfortunately a long history of internal conflict, right? Different areas of the country have been have had fraught relationships with the government. Different parts of the country have been terrorized and brutalized by that government, and marginalized in the process. And Khartoum has, because it's the center of power, has been relatively safe of that, right? We see, of course, the oppression and marginalization of Khartoum on a socioeconomic level, on a political level as well, but not to the extent of, other parts of Sudan. And so the shock here is that, this happening in Khartoum, the center of power where government has always lived, right, is now kind of like, well, how could this happen? I think that's where the shock is. Not necessarily that there's conflict in Sudan, but that it's happening at the, where power lives. And so, in that sense, I think that's an important distinction to make. And I think that's also why the world is paying a little bit closer attention, because nobody expected that this level of devastation or conflict would come to the capital. Unfortunately, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Sarah, before you go very far from this point, that the international community itself really doesn't show any any care about the Sudanese people. They were supporting the RSF only just to stop the refugees from coming to Europe, and then these same forces are now attacking the people in the capital of Sudan. So I just wanted to shed the light on the put the light on this very important fact that nobody cares really about the Sudanese people.
I'm gonna talk later about how we feel about what you just said, but let Sarah finish.
Yeah, that's a totally good point, Nouri. So just again, I don't want to get too deep into it, so I'll just give you sort of the bold headlines. We've already been dealing over the last 4 years since the revolution with a very, very fragile state, right? Our government is non-existent. We don't have a formal government to speak of. And all of our institutions, our public institutions, are at risk of collapse. This is before this conflict, right? They were already at risk of collapse. No healthcare, no education, basic services are a mess, power, water, across the country, huge issues, right? And now with this conflict, unfortunately, has added extra pressure, extra stress on these already fragile institutions. And now they are completely under collapse. The most prominent of which being the healthcare sector, right? You have all of this violence happening. You have so many dead, so many injured, so many already in need of healthcare, right? A desperate need of healthcare, because you already have elderly, you have pregnant women, you have people with chronic illnesses, like what every country has, right? What every population has. You have a healthcare system that cannot sustain under the weight of that normal pressure. And then add to it a full-scale war with airstrikes and missiles and street level combat and tanks and all of this stuff. You have an incredible amount of injured. Now there's a huge influx on these hospitals. They cannot sustain because everybody's left, because the airport is closed, supplies are not coming in. So now you have a healthcare sector that doesn't have the basics, no gauze, right? How are you supposed to treat the injured if you don't even have gauze, if you don't even have PPE, supplies, if you don't even have gloves, if you don't even have blood? Today, there was a call out made that blood banks are empty and they cannot be refilled because there are no blood bags in which to hold the donated blood, right? So we're dealing with an absolute catastrophe at this point. And these two factions do not care. And ceasefire after ceasefire has been announced, either by by the factions themselves, or brokered by international powers, all of which have been broken immediately. Even before they were, even before it was time for them to start, they were already broken. And then you have things like the international community applauding the military and the RSF for restraining themselves, for practicing restraint and upholding ceasefires when people on the ground are literally telling you in real time, airstrikes but in my neighborhood, bombing in my neighborhood, killing in my neighborhood. So, Sudanese people have been in danger, have been dealing, trying to keep this country together with spit and duct tape because nobody else is helping, and at the same time have to deal with the added frustration of being outwardly actively ignored, actively dismissed, lied upon in their faces every single day for the last 18 days. That's where we are, really. And I'll just say that Khartoum, in terms of stats, out of 86 hospitals nationwide, 60 are closed. Only 20-something are operational. And those that are operational are struggling under the weight because they have no supplies. They have no staff because doctors are also being targeted by the RSF, right? Hospitals are being raided. That's why most hospitals are closing, because they're being raided, they're being looted. In a Guinea last week, Guinea Teaching Hospital, which is the only public hospital in the city, was closed, and because it was raided and looted, and the equipment was destroyed, the blood bank was destroyed. There's an active policy of, we don't want you to live, right? We are going to raise this country to the ground if that's what it takes to hold on to power. That's what's happening right now. It's not just these two factions are fighting against each other. They're actually fighting against the Sudanese people, because they are stopping Sudanese people from getting basic access to the things that they need: power, water, healthcare. Right? When you target doctors, what message are you sending? And there's plenty of testimonies, plenty of incidents where doctors are now afraid to identify themselves by their profession. People are being stopped in the streets or on highways and asked, "Are you a doctor?" And if you say yes, you're shot, you're arrested, you're in direct line of fire. What message does that send? Is this about democracy? As the RSF has said repeatedly in the media, that they are here to protect democracy? Is this about the country? Is this about the people? Is this about the revolution?
Can I pause it here before we start? Just to an invitation to recognize what we're saying and what we're invoking when we call them the international community. They are not a community. There is no community. No one is coming in unity for Sudan. That's what community is. Community. No one is coming in unity for Sudan but the people of Sudan. And that is not to take away from the individual efforts that are happening. We see you. We see our sisters and brothers of the Horn who are yielding their spaces and holding these conversations. We see you. We appreciate you. Our sisters and brothers in Egypt who are organizing and trying to mobilize things to the borders. We hear you. We see you. We're not seeing it. We're just saying this is all people power. And we cannot be referring to a bunch of governments and a bunch of people, essentially white men and black men too scared to displease white men, that they are a community. Because ain't nobody showing up. Nobody's coming in unity for Sudan. We have an international arena. And if you look at that word, are not available. Arena. They are NA, not applicable to Sudan. Their policies are not applicable to Sudan. Their human rights declarations are not applicable to Sudan. Their protocols, their responsibility to protect is not applicable to Sudan. Their need to move into action against genocide is not applicable to Sudan. Their responsibility to mobilize is not applicable to Sudan. It's not available to Sudan. They are an international arena, and I invite at least the people of Sudan to recognize and call it as it is. Our words have power. Also for my sanity, because literally every drop of blood boils when I hear anyone refer to them as a community. We are the community. We are the power. the people.
Oshi, do you want to jump in and give us a little bit more information?
I hope you can hear me now better.
Yes, yes, yes.
First of all, Dima, thanks for these great words. Really inspiring. And that actually, what are we feeling right now? Like we feel like we are hopeless or helpless. That as I said on an interview 2 days ago about the international community, like there was no helping at all. They were just busy evacuating their people. And I'm not saying don't evacuate your people. You should do if you think so. But at least this airplane should have brought them the basic medical necessities for the people here. Now we don't have even what called body bags. Now we have a biological crisis about to happen. We have shortage of all supplies. We have nothing actually. So yeah, we didn't see support, uh, although just only from the activists and the people to people. But countries, when we are talking like nationwide, there was no help at all, to be honest. So I'm a part of a community committee, a resistance committee, which is a Beit resistance committee in Umdurman, in the capital, Khartoum. So since day one,
Oshi, معلش, sorry,
the
can you
resistance
explain?
committee.
Can you explain what a resistance committee is for those people who don't know?
Okay. Actually, the idea of the resistance committee goes back to the 60s. I think it was the communist of the communist regime, but it has been developed and changed in Sudan, so it's a lot different. It started with small communities of people, small groups of people who started, who were helping organizing the protest and everything since 2018. Actually, it was before that, but if we spoke about the last version of it, we're gonna start since 2018, 2019. So they started by, by that time there was the union of the professionalists, I think. I don't know the translation actually. They were organizing the protest, but they organized it on a big scale. So when we talk about organizing the few groups in the cities and help the people and raise the awareness of the revolution itself and the importance to throughout the al-Bashir regime, these small communities came and start developing. So until we reached the Al-Qiyada sitting, which is the military headquarters sitting, which was in 2019. So there we started really to connect, and we started to rebuild it and reorganize it and to have offices and to have alliances more. So it was developed and become very big community and mainly made of the young people and young girls. So to help you get the picture, I am in a neighborhood. It's basically based on the neighborhoods. I'm in a Betelman neighborhood, which is in Umdurman. So my committee comes together with 17 more committees to form Asia to Umdurman Resistance Committee Alliances or coordination. So this coordination come together with 5 more coordinations to form Umdurman City Alliance, which is called, I think, Big Umdurman City Alliances, Resistance Committees Alliances, which come together with Khartoum City and Khartoum North, which is Bahri, and Sharq Nil and Al Haj Yusuf and Jabalawliya to form out Khartoum capital office coordination. I think it called that committees, resistance committees office coordination or coordination office. So this is we're talking about only the capital. You have the other states. So it has a lot of members, a lot of members. Most of the Sudanese people are joined are a member of a resistance committee somewhere. So because I'm a part of a resistance committee and we have been in Al Qiyada and I have been in through the demonstration throughout even the transition period. We haven't sat down. We were always on the street. We always have our slogans, our great means and great effort to help the transition period to continue. That's one thing. And we want to rewrite a lot of wrongs and a lot of mistakes made by the transition government itself. And as where Sarah said before, always the military were trying to take the scenes and trying to overthrow the other person, the other people. He want the image and to rule. So since day one, we were against it, and by default, we were against the rapid support forces, the RSF militia. So since day one, we were opposed it. We tried to overthrow it, even through the peaceful demonstrations and all that, and the sittings. So because of all that, we can see the image very clear. So since day one, since the first day, the only political body who issued a statement out loud very clear was the resistance committee. Even the small committees issued their own statement. The office of the resistance committee, what called coordination office here, issued a statement. Even the charter, the revolutionary charter of the resistance committee, issued their statement. And all it has the same idea. It has the same basic level of information. Like this is another coup. This is only a fight between the RSF and the army. This is not a great war. It has no moral. It has nothing. It's only a power. It's only a division between the power and money. Nothing more. So since we issued loud and clear, we are not going to support any sides of this unwanted war. So since that day, we issued our statement, we issued our political side, political position. Since that directly, we started working to help the people, because people in Sudan, they can trust the resistance committees because they know, because they see them everywhere. Even me, like if they ask who is Gasim, they can just call here. We know Gasim. So it's not that hard. Because of that, they get the sense of they see us. Like you can see me in this demonstration, you can see me in a peaceful sittings, you can see me working, you can see me going through, you can see everything. So because of that, they have a great trust for the resistance committees, and because they are always like in Sudan since 2018 we have a slogan which say "Kun anta ilam al-mawkib," which means you be the media for the revolution, because we don't have a national media who covers what happened. Even right now, if you just open the Sudan national TV, you must probably find them dancing and playing old music. That's how. So we had to stick for ourselves. We had to play a role. We have to film everything ourselves. We have to carry everything. Even the political side, we didn't want to go through this, to go through deep in this politics. But we have nothing more. We have to say our opinion. We have to play the role, because we saw what happened throughout the transition period and all that. So because of all that, since day one, we started on the community work. We started to help the people. We start to issue the right information to show where is the compacts are, and everything we can help through our media channels and pages, through WhatsApp, Twitter, and all that, and even Facebook. Yeah. So yeah, mainly that's what is happening.
Yeah, thanks. So before we pass the mic to Jamila and Lujain, so yeah, I should mention that the resistance committees, like we're playing very important role in our revolution, and they also indicate how smart the Sudanese community is. Like just a bunch of young people, like trying to like organize and being against a very old-fashioned military and civilians, parties who are not playing the rules. That's why in the first place we have this committee. So yeah, I just want to really thank you, Qasim, and all of this resistant committees. And I would like also to know the situation there in you said you are in where, like in Khartoum, like
I mean, Durman, actually.
yeah, in Durman. Yeah, like please let us know the situation there and how is it now there. And yeah, before we go to Jamila and Lujaina.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm in Beit El Mal, which is a neighborhood in Durman, which is nearby to Shambad Bridge, which is nearby to the police station HQ headquarters. It is nearby to the national TV and to the radio station. So because of all these important places just near us, my neighborhood was occupied or partially occupied by the RSF militia since day one and until today. So people in my neighborhood, they had problems since the first day. We can't get out. You can't go out freely. You will be bothered. You will be looted by the RSF forces, the members. You will be even they what call they apprehend four of our people, our neighbors, but they brought them back. So we face daily struggles of getting our groceries, of getting the medicine supplies, of getting everything. So we can't move freely. There is always combat. We are in a war zone, literally, because daily there will be bombing. Daily there will be gunfights. I think if you wait a while, you can hear some in the background. So yeah. So because of that, we had a lot of initiatives since the first day because we have struggles in the water because they occupied the Beit El Mal water station, which supplies most of Umdurman with water. And they also occupied the Umdurman technical school, which is based in Beit El Mal also. I don't know. What about my neighbor? So because of all that, since day one, we started a lot of initiative by our committee to help the people get the water and the medicine. So because we can't move around, we can't get our medicine supplies. So we asked the people in my neighborhood to share with us their medicine. And since day one, they given us their medicine. They shared their very chronic diseases medicine, heart medicine, diabetes medicine, and all type of medicine. They share it with us, and we start spreading it to the neighbors. So in the first 2 days, we ran out very quickly. So we realized that we have a big problem. We have a great crisis happening, medical wise and medicine wise. So we start again collecting, and even yesterday we issued a statement or message to the people in the neighborhood that we've got some more medicine, so please contact daily. They have been contacting us because they can't get their medicine, even the food. Even the food, some of the families they don't even have the basic necessity for the foods. So yeah, we live in a very bad situation, but hopefully we are going to survive. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, our prayers with you. So maybe Jamila now is gonna give us some information. Yeah, Jamila, can you give us some information about the medical situation and the ground
Yeah,
in Sudan?
okay, yes, I will. So the clashes between the two armed forces that was erupted on April 15th uh, are having devastating consequences on civilians. The death toll, just 1 second, I'm sorry. The death toll from this has climbed over 500, according to the World Health Organization, and more than 4,500 injured. In terms of the hospital, we have this space on Twitter that we receive calls from civilians. Like we just try to help them by anyhow. So they call us asking for hospitals, asking for medicines, asking for safe places to move around. 70% of the hospitals located near the conflict areas are out of service. We get this on daily basis from the Sudanese, the Sudan Doctor Trade Union. Out of 86 main hospitals in the capital and the states, 61 hospitals are out of service, and 25 hospitals are operating fully or partially. Some of them they only provide emergency medical services like first aid, but they are also at risk of closing due to the shortage of medical staff, supplies, water, and electricity. Some dialysis center, which serve like around 12,000 chronic renal failure patients a month, have run out of supplies. We wrote several letters with the support of Sarah and another brother. We have been sending this out to the Red Cross, the United Nations, to even like some friends from neighboring countries who join our space. We beg them to bring this back to their non-governmental organizations, to the United Nations, that we're in a desperate need for these medications, because we are about to lose 12,000 people who are suffering from kidney failures due to the shortage of the medication. So we demand that the international community and the Friends of Sudan intervene as soon as possible to support the Sudanese people and to send humanitarian needs, especially medication, as well as to to exert pressure on the due to this conflict, to immediately and unconditionally cease this. Just to help the Sudanese people. Also, the effect of this war on the Sudanese people, the prices of food, fuel, and basic goods are repeatedly skyrocketing, making critical goods like essential goods unaffordable for many people. We receive calls from people who didn't eat for several days. They don't have water, they don't have food. And also, like, civilians are flying, they're fleeing the areas of the affected fighting is increasing. They try their best to get to Central African Republic, to Chad, to Ethiopia, to Egypt, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and South Sudan. But there have been reports of civilians from central part of the country, mainly from the Khartoum Tri-City area, and there are about like 6 million residents seeking refuge, and they travel by land to Egypt and to Ethiopia. But these two countries, they are asking for visa, they are asking for yellow fever vaccination, and
I lost Gamila there in a moment.
Just while we get Jamila back, I want to mention that the people who are fleeing the conflict from Khartoum are not just Sudanese people, right? We have refugees from Ethiopia and Eritrea who are trying to leave. We have Nigerian students right now, around 500 Nigerian students are trapped at the Egyptian border because they're not being allowed in. And the Egyptian authorities are telling them that this is a, quote, national security risk to allow these students to flee conflict. So now they cannot go back to Khartoum where they were because of the violence, and they cannot go to Egypt for safe refuge. So they're stuck in no man's land with no help or recourse, having to use their own resources to keep themselves fed and hydrated in a place where that's already like a huge issue, because the border is not equipped, is not prepared to take in this influx of people. You have, like I said, refugees who are now twice displaced, right? Displaced from their home countries and now displaced from Khartoum. And these people have to figure out their own ways to escape. I think it's worth mentioning that the people who are flocking to the Egyptian border are people who can afford it. They can afford the extremely high-priced tickets, bus tickets, to go, and are dealing with, getting to the border and realizing that their buses are don't have the permits to cross over from the Sudanese side into the Egyptian side. And so they're now stuck having to buy another ticket, if they can afford it, if they have any money left, to make it to the Egyptian border, and then stay there for 5 to 7 days to be processed and maybe not let in, because men are not allowed into Egypt without a visa. People are still being considered tourists in light of this crisis. It's all just, it's surreal at this point. I think we have people who are dying at the border, just like Jamila mentioned, I believe, out of from food and water shortages. You have elderly who cannot withstand the trip, who just barely made it to the border and now have to stay out in the elements, right? There are no tents, there's no buildings there. Even in the towns, hotels and motels are being booked to capacity because there are so many people coming in, they cannot withstand the influx. And so people are sleeping on the streets. They're sleeping out in the cold, in the desert, right? We're talking about desert climate, desert conditions. Some people are sleeping in their buses and in the buses they came in, because they can't sleep outside because they're too old or whatever. It's all just a mess, and nobody's doing anything about it. And the people who are dealing with it are, by and large, volunteers, whether Sudanese or Egyptian. And I mean, when you see pictures or video of Sudanese refugees, essentially, or other refugees coming from Sudan, coming from Khartoum, cleaning up the area because it's overrun with trash because there's so many people, and there's no coordination, there's nothing. They're having to do all of this for themselves, literally to take care of themselves after they just escaped war and death, literally. It's surreal. It's surreal.
And this division is killing us. It's killing Africa, because I've seen a lot of countries, including myself, my country, sending plan to evacuate the people, right? Each African countries, almost all of them, they sent the jets to like take them away from Sudan. And yeah, they took them away, but what about Sudanese? What about those people who are seeking for a better place to live? This division is killing us, because right now we're talking about this situation in Egypt and probably some other countries in Africa that they want visa. Imagine you're coming from the crisis, maybe you evacuated from your home, you didn't have the time to find where the passport is or to go to the embassy and apply for visa, because everybody evacuated from Sudan, so there's no option for that. And you're running to another country, the first thing you're being asked is, where is your visa? Or you don't have.
And where is your passport?
No, your visa, your passport, $80. If you
Exactly.
get charged $80 to get a visa to enter the country, Egypt, they need a yellow fever vaccination. They need a valid passport. And I spoke with the Red Cross 2 days ago, because we lost 3 lives. We lost 3 elderly and a child. 5 years old because of lack of access to
You
healthcare.
know what, Mika? One of the
Yeah.
problems that in the past year or in the past 2 years, actually, we had a a very hard and crucial finance happening with everybody here. Because since the coup started, most of the work had been demolished, most of the job had been demolished. Companies start resizing and letting people out, getting struggles every day. The cope going on, we get it gets more difficult for the people. So people for 2 years they had been struggling now, and just out of the bloom the war comes. When the shells start falling near their houses, in their houses, they start running for their life. A lot of people, we have cousins, we have family members, we have all that who had been shot while they were trying to flee the Khartoum city. So yeah, it's almost like it's like just a fast bad dream, and of course people are not prepared, because when they are fleeing to the borders, for sure most of them, they won't have their passport, they won't have their yellow fevers, they won't even have the money, because everything is getting much higher. The 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 the, the gasoline is getting much higher, the fees getting much higher, everything, even the food is getting much higher. So it doesn't make sense, to just let them be on the street. So I have been contacting some of my family who are trying to flee. They have like more than 6 days near the border with Egypt. So it doesn't make sense actually.
And
And
like,
they told me the same stories. Yeah, people are literally lying on the street. Some on their
Oshi,
backs, some on their foot, all that. Yeah.
Oshi country is at a war, you know? Like you don't need any other
Exactly.
thing, to support or to understand that countries at a war. We have seen what happened, in your
Ukraine.
country. Uh, what was
In
that country?
Ukraine,
What
which
Nuri? What was your country?
it was Ukraine. I was saying,
Yeah,
like,
Ukraine, exactly.
this topic is touching me, like, personally, because I was in Ukraine, by the way, when the
Mm,
war with Russia started, and I, like, have gone through all of this. I understand this very clearly, and all, like, 2 days ago, I think Sarah has shared something about, like, the comparison between what's, like, the like how they react to the
yeah,
Sudanese crisis versus Ukrainian
exactly.
one. And I
Mm,
can see that personally, because I left Ukraine, and although that honestly I was Sudanese and I was black and was African, but
mm.
the borders were open for me. Like, it's really
Because you're
sad
coming from
to,
Ukraine.
yeah, it's really sad to see, like my neighbor countries like Egypt and Ethiopia to ask me for visa to come to their countries in this specific time, when people are suffering, where people are dying, where people are, like, they have lack of medical support, and they, like, I mean, I really do. I really have no words to explain the situations, because it's really sad to see that, and that's why we only have the communities, the young committees, and like the young people to act on this situation. And of course, like, Africa has 70% of young people who can really change this old system of neglecting other Africans,
Yeah,
and neglecting our crisis. And I just, like, one of the politician, like, in, I think, in England, they were saying, like, this is as one of many African crises, like, one, like, one cope, like,
they love
what
saying
can
that.
we do, about them? So can you imagine, like, to hear that, and
Yeah,
compare it with Ukraine. And this is give you a very clear indicator that what we call it, international community, is just caring about, their interest, and what they can get from these
yeah,
people, and what they can, like, like what is the benefits after
Yeah.
them. They don't care about what's called humanity or whatever it's called. Like this is a very good exam for them if they really care about human beings, if
Yeah.
they really cares about United Nation. I don't know where's the unity here, but let's say United
No,
Nations. Like
there's
we can
there's
see
no
that.
such a thing. I
Yeah,
have two questions that I want to raise up to kind of like, and then we jump to the second part. But we don't see African Union this, because this is the time to actually step up and actually do something about this crisis that is going there, and possibly save our people. If I'm not mistaken, you say 500 deaths already, right? Until right now.
At least,
Camille,
yes.
at least, yeah, that's the number that we have. So probably, we have more people than this. And I don't know if these lives matter anything to any Africa who is watching or listening this stream right now, because this has to matter something. These are our brothers and these are our sisters, and I hope our government, they're listening to this and watching and hearing the cries, because what is happening to Sudan is not just a coincidence, as what we say, at the beginning. I've heard some stories and I've seen some things that this also is one of the strategy to dismantle eastern part of Africa by attacking Sudan. And this is what I want to ask you guys to know, like, what is your thoughts? And I'll start with you, Dima. What do you think is the agenda behind what is happening right now, and who is behind this? Who is involved? Because we see a lot of different international and countries are talking about this. A lot of false news there on the media, and I just can't stop wondering, like, what is the agenda behind this? And I think at this point, if we're asking for support and for people to step up, we need to talk to our people. We need to talk to Africa as much as we can. That you guys gotta do something about this, because this is our issue. This is not Sudanese matter, but this is Africans matter, and you gotta do something about it. So if you'd like to highlight us on that, Dima.
Yeah, thank you, Mika. I'm going to try and put it in a succinct way, because quite literally, everyone is involved. Everyone has a hand in what's happening in Sudan. Whether you are a human, an individual, or you are an entity, an organization, or so on, or you are a government. Okay, and just to put that in before getting into who of these external states or entities are involved and what their agenda is, I just want to go back to what our brother Nuri was saying in that, and what was uttered throughout the conversation is, where is the human in all this? Where is the concern for the human life? And it is crucial for us to remember that when these entities, governments, men, white men, came together to put together a human rights declaration or a declaration of human rights or whatever it is, they were ultimately people who were still actively practicing the principle in which people of African ancestry are subhuman. So these human rights of which they are guaranteeing to every human were not counted as part of that. We were not in their consciousness as who that applies to or on. Because according to them, we were, and apparently continue to be, subhuman. So when we're looking at what's at play here in Sudan, and at the Horn of Africa at large, the question of identity has to come up. The Arab-African question has to come up. The Muslim-Christian question has to come up. This one brush that has been consistently used to paint all of Sudan and all of Sudanese has to be addressed. And this is history repeating itself, because it's not the first time. One of the first interviews that came out after the war broke out, I think it was April 16, and it was Yusra al-Baghi's interview with Burhan, when she asked about his response to Ruto and I don't remember which other African nation to fly to Sudan and solve it. And the response was, it's not an appropriate time. right? Or something along these lines. It's not an appropriate time because we've seen that same experience when it was the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, which was absolutely not comprehensive. And there was nothing peaceful about it. And the only reason there was a comprehensive peace agreement was people who were taking up weapons. And we were warned about that. That came up. The more and more governments and so-called international arenas and entities are only responding to people picking up arms, the more and more we will see people pick up arms. We were warned about that. And it's continuing to happen. But back then, it was the IGAD initiative, an East African-led initiative to find an African solution for African problems. And then you had JELI, which is the Joint Egyptian-Libyan Initiative. And it was a clash of agendas between an Arab agenda trying to fortify an Arab identity, trying to push forward and consolidate Arab grip on Sudanese resources, whether these resources are our land, our very fertile land that has been referred to as the food basket of the Arab world. And I don't know why it's the Arab world, because our land is fertile enough to feed the entire world and then some. In fact, already this world, if you don't know, please educate yourself about Black food sovereignty and food sovereignty in general and the fight for food sovereignty, and understand that today, with all these misleaders calling about a food crisis and poverty and food insecurity, right now this world is producing enough food to feed the entire world population a time and a half. And yet we have more than 800 million going to sleep hungry, most of them farmers and indigenous communities. So when we're talking about these clash of agendas, Arab, African, and then of course it's never just Arab and African, because when you ask, oh, what do you want from the African Union? What we would have wanted from the African Union is when the African Union said to the military, you have 15 days to turn over power to civilians, they would have held on to that 15 days instead of their chair at the time, which was Egypt, identifying as the Arab Republic of Egypt, steering the African Union to extend the 15 days to 60 days so that the Arab Gulf can continue pouring money and funds into the pocket of genocidal terrorists who continue to traumatize us. But no, the US doesn't negotiate with terrorists. No, they don't. The ironic part here is the US was the first government to call what was happening in Darfur a genocide. The US, not just the US sent a Black man, Colin Powell, to say, look, Black men are killing Black men, and let's call that the Darfur genocide, also that they can take attention away from the mess they were creating in Iraq. But no, when it was time and another white country came through and says, ooh, what's happening in Darfur is really bad, we need to take that to the ICC, we need the International Criminal Court to get involved. The first country to threaten to veto that resolution was, again, the United States of America. And the only way it did not veto it is when they added one line in that resolution saying that any US citizen found related or connected to anything that happened in Darfur cannot be tried by the ICC because the United States of America is not signatory to the Rome Statute. And again, applauded by the international arena, just like the US now is applauding whatever fake halting or whatever violence that they think is happening because their minds cannot fathom what is actually unfolding on the ground of Sudan. These inconsistencies need to be addressed. France being the first to call for the Darfur crisis, the Darfur genocide to go to the ICC, and then being mum, while their planes fly into Niala Airport daily, loading up no less than $25 million worth of gold out of mountains of Darfur so that it can go to France, so that they can back their currency, so that when Francophone Africa decides to go for a unified African currency backed by gold, France's economy doesn't crumble by 68% in 48 hours. But no, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how they've been pushing for self-determination of the Darfuri people. We're not going to talk about how in the office of this facade of a transitional government that keeps getting labeled as democratic facade of nothing, because there was nothing civilian-led about that transitional government in that office that was supposedly rewriting the Constitution. The room next door was a French envoy, making sure that integrated into this rewriting of that constitution is the right for self-determination for the people of Darfur, so that they can annex Darfur and get access to the gold in the mountain. So when we say what's happening in Sudan is not just about Sudan, and it's connected to every single aspect of not just the continent of Africa, but Mother Africa and all her children everywhere, this is what we're talking about. This is why we're not on the news, and we say it again. This is about Black power. This is about Black people recognizing that there is no light at the end of the tunnel, that it was and always has been a mirror, and that every time we come close to that mirror and we start seeing the light, we pause. We pause because we think that light is coming from outside. We pause because we think someone's going to come in and help us. But we need to recognize that it's a mirror, and that is pure magic. There is terror, there is horror happening in Sudan, but there is pure magic coming out of our people. You want to talk international recognition? Every single international statement saying they support the people of Sudan calling for democracy, if they really want to put their money, their mouth where their money is, or their money where their mouth is, it doesn't matter, because both of them are saying nothing and sent to genocidal terrorists. But if they really want to mean what they say, seize communication with the Sudan Armed Forces, seize communication with the Rapid Support Forces, recognize that the people are saying we do not recognize them as legitimate, and that by any form of communication with these two entities, you are effectively contributing to the continued oppression and genocide of people. These are the international aspects here, and they're not being discussed. Let's bring in Ukraine, because Ukraine was mentioned, and it is very sensitive. The flag of Ukraine is blue and yellow. We are one color different. Our independence flag, the African flag of Sudan, it's one color different. It's not that color that's stopping the word from inaction. That color is black, and people need to start asking. The color that's stopping people from acting on Ukraine, from acting on Sudan the way they've acted on Ukraine, the color is not the green. Here's the flag. I sit on it because this flag is going to rise again. These are our colors. These are our African colors before they put the Arab colors in there. Let's stop and ask really what's going on. Every single country before Russia moved the muscle had a quota of refugees, how many they're going to have in their countries. They are currently moving. There is live evacuation happening on Twitter, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, on the metaverse. But no. Let's just sit here and talk about how surprising what's happening in Sudan. There's nothing surprising what's happening in Sudan. This is by design. Let's go back to the design. Let's go back to France. Let's go back to Darfur. Let's go back to that constitution. Who in that transitional government or transitional democracy, civilian-led, blah, blah, facade of an agreement government, who was designated as the Minister of Justice overlooking the constitution for right? And what was his area of expertise? His area of expertise was self-determination and constitutional rewriting. If we still have any doubt that there is a plan here, and it is going and being pushed and funded and supported to go contrary to the will of the people, which has been echoed time and time again, no more military rule, 100%. Internationally, that's what's happening. Internationally, in terms of talking about terrorists and terrorist rings and Al-Qaeda and all of that, understand that RSF and whoever they're trying to brand as rapid support forces or potential blah, whatever, however they've been rebranded by the lobbying that was paid for by Gulf money across American and Canadian platforms, is also connected to every terrorist group currently active on the continent, from the Horn, from Somalia to Nigeria, is connected to that RSF. This is why these two genocidal factions are fighting. Because the military, SAF, Sudan Armed Forces, are seeing that RSF is increasingly independent, financially independent, and it doesn't need Saudi Arabia anymore. It's not just about Saudi Arabia, because they have funds coming in from the European Union to take out the African refugees. It has funds coming in from the Emiratis so that they can keep smuggling gold. It has funds coming in from the Gulfies so they can keep taking our young brothers so that they can put them into their illegal, illegitimate wars to do whatever services they are serving. This is what the international so-called community is doing in Sudan. If you call
Come on, someone is sopping dimmer there. See
The
what is
mic
happening?
was too hot. She was heating up the mic too much.
It's very
See
hard
what is
for that.
happening there? So,
Hear
I
those
don't,
very heavy words,
I don't like
It
this.
is too hot,
Um,
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as Dima was mentioning, it is all about power. It is all about resources. You know, Sudan has a lot of rich resources, and this is the ultimate summary of it. And Dima covered it with a lot of passion, and I appreciate that a lot. I think the other thing that I would like to touch upon is, you know, being outside of Sudan and just seeing this happening. All of my resources, all of the news and information I'm getting are from people who are on the ground. And, you know, I truly understood the phrase of, you know, people always express like, oh, my heart is shredding in pieces. When that war broke, that I literally understood the definition of your heart shredding, because that was the feeling that we got, you know, and losing family members, not knowing where they are. That journey from Sudan, from Khartoum all the way to Egypt, you know, seeing family members who experienced that journey and how long it took them, and the resources, and all of a sudden you lose the psychological needs, you know, the water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, all of these things, let alone the safety needs of security, employment, resources, health, property, you know, and these are the two basic needs that we need psychologically, and the safety needs before anything else. And you lose that overnight. It's a lot to take on and anybody, let alone just somebody who was sleeping and all of a sudden hearing a missile. You know, I have one of my sister-in-law who has a cousin who kept hearing the airplane constantly. So that is post-traumatic stress disorder that was happening way after, you know, leaving Sudan, and still going on, waking up every day, hearing that plane sound and getting that feeling that they're going to get shot at. You know, so Dima, earlier you mentioned a lot of the people from outside who are helping, and truly these are, like you guys kept stressing, these are the people, because, you know, I tried to contact the Canadian embassy personally to try and help my sister evacuate. Or getting into one person who was giving me a helpful resource, I was transferred from one person to the next, from one person to the next. And literally one of the people said, your question is too complex, and just transferred me over. Didn't even have to hear what else I needed to say. So seeing the Canadian, the US embassy not doing anything, and along with other countries, as you guys have mentioned, it is very sad. And the only people who have been helping, locating family members, helping, you know, with sending out resources, whether it's food or money or medical supplies, all of these things have been going on within the Sudanese community itself, within the Sudanese people, the platforms that are offered through Twitter and other social media platforms. Every psychological need that is in need of different individuals and different families have been offered and provided from the Sudanese people within themselves, helping each other. So it's appreciated to see how, in terms of very hard and difficult time and in the middle of war, people are still standing united and helping each other. And it just shows how strong we are as the people, because we're not getting help. And we see that, and you guys stress that out. We're not getting help from anywhere else from outside, barely, ever. And you guys brought the comparison from the Ukraine and Sudan, and we see this in other countries too, where the war happened and the evacuation was so quick to happen within 24 hours or less. Why is it different when it comes to Sudan?
I just want to say, I want to add to your point, Jane. We were talking earlier about the difference between Sudan and Ukraine, and there was a lot of discussion about how it took 3 days for the world to mobilize for Ukraine. And this was said to us, Sudanese people, talking about the need for help for Sudan, as a way to say that, the world didn't mobilize for Ukraine. It took 3 days for aid to come. It took 3 days for the world to mobilize. And at that point, it had been 12 days of conflict for us with nothing. And we are now on day 18. And as of day 15, aid is now slowly trickling in. I think actually day 16 is when the ICRC announced that they were sending medical supplies to Sudan. 2 weeks after an all-out war broke out. And now the WFP yesterday announced they are resuming their activities, even though the WFP should have been there. I mean, these are organizations that work in the most vulnerable places, right? Areas of conflict, areas where people are most in need. They evacuated on day 1. And now, 17 days later, are coming back and say, hey guys, guess what? Breaking news. We're coming back. Are we supposed to applaud that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, right? I think part of the thing is as Sudanese people, we are not expecting the help. I think we already prepared ourselves for the eventuality of being in this by ourselves. But it's the added offense of being told that you are supported while seeing none of that support happen in real time, right? That's what's most offensive to us, I think. Right,
Sarah,
as Dima said, the gaslighting of it all. The gaslighting.
I really feel like I should really comment on this because a day or 2 days after this war started in Sudan, I also communicated called actually the UN committee in UK and here in Ireland and asked them very clearly is there any way to evacuate the people from Sudan? Did you start any initiative to help the people in Sudan, not just evacuate them, but please medical support, anything. I remember that the guy was telling me oh, sorry, is there anything in Sudan happening right now? Or I will contact you back in can you give me your email, and I will contact you back very soon. And I was still waiting anything from him till the moment, Yeah, so he was we honestly were talking for even 30 minutes, and he was I didn't feel that he knows really what's going to happen to Sudan. He didn't say, honestly, let me be very precise here. He didn't say what's happening in Sudan, but he say okay, and he's trying to understand the situation more. And then I told him can you just let me know. He said okay, I will come back to you. I will try my best. And now I think we are waiting for 10 days or something, and nothing happened. And before I pass the mic, I went here in Ireland to the immigration center or whatever, who helped the Ukrainians, and I asked them I honestly when I went there, I wasn't waiting for anything, but I just tried to see what's gonna happen, and I asked him can you tell me what's the way to evacuate or reunite my family in Sudan? He said you're not supposed to be here in the first place. Yeah. He said it like that. I said, honestly, I wasn't surprised. For me, it was not very big deal. I mean, I was not Ukrainian. I know that, and I know that they shouldn't give me this temporary protection thing. But I mean, the war that's happening in Sudan is the same war. The weapon that killing the people in Sudan is the same. The blood that's shedding in Sudan is the same blood shedded in Ukraine. Then and I am here right now. You give me this right to stay here. Then why cannot you help my family. I didn't ask you like to help people in Sudan. I didn't ask you to do anything, but and then I came back. But honestly, like even when I told my friends and so forth, like who also like have the same situation like me, they were surprised. Like, how can he say something like that? I said like, like is it like for me? It's not new. Like even when we evacuate from Ukraine itself, like the African people were the last people held back. Like and now in Germany, they even like send people back to their countries. You know, I so for me like I wasn't like that surprised, and I don't know what to say about it, but yeah, it's very clear that the political interest is engaged here, and as Sudanese people don't give them any benefits or whatever, so why do they care about us? You know, so this is why it's important for us to call the African Union and the people around us first. Of course, the international community should also help Sudanese if they want or not, because they are engaged in what's happening in Sudan. They have been supported RSF in the first place, right? So I will be waiting from them to do something. But in the first place, I will be waiting from Egypt and my neighbor countries to be beside Sudan, Ethiopia, and Egypt, and all the countries around us.
Nori,
So
I'm sorry to say
You,
this,
you,
that
you know,
uh,
Mika. Hmm, sorry.
yes,
Yeah,
Roshan.
go on.
I wanted to add that, like, uh, yes, for what Sarah and Dima kept saying about the support they are getting, the both parties from outside. The bad thing is still going on. They are still supplying the both sides. Like here is Cairo is still supplying a Burhan, and even like yesterday they use jets. They use their flight jets, the fighter jets, to keep bombing here, and this bombing always results in killing innocent people. Yesterday, we lost some of a lot of women, elder women who working in making tea near the what called Sherganil bridge. Innocent women, they are working hard labor to feed their people, to feed their kids, and they just died. They just lost their life like that. So the position itself is very captivating since the day one. We, as I told you, we have a lot of initiatives. Every day, almost every day, we receive an inquiry for a certain medicine. And when we start posting, when we start going around, when we start searching for it, just few minutes later, they call us back and they say, never mind, they already passed away. So this is the way, this is the things happening here. And as Sarah said, we used to be disappointed, even from our own people here. The army always disappointed us. The militia, even nobody was expecting anything from it, the militia itself. But even the international community, everything, they're always letting us down. They don't care for Sudan. They always say they support the transitional government, they support the transition of the Sudanese people. They just like to keep seeing the word the Sudanese people, but they don't care about the Sudanese people. They don't understand the Sudanese people. They don't understand our love for our country, and we are going to die for it. We can't die for it. We are willing to die for it if it came to it. So because of that, 4 years we are on the street. 4 years we have been let down, and just now after the war was 2 days, the Anthony Blinken say, "Oh, we're sorry, we ignored the words of the resistance committee. They were right all along." And I know now, if any chance came for any type of agreement between the both party, they will jump through. They will discard our voice again. So because of that, we still go and we still do whatever we can. We won't let our people down. That's the thing we are good. We are good in. That's the thing we are doing since these 4 years. 4 years we have been. We lost our friends. We lost our families. We lost a lot through this revolution. We
Yeah.
always we go out to this demonstration. we come back missing few our people. That's the thing. That's the thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's all for a great and noble, a moral thing. We are doing that. So, because of that, we will keep doing it. We will keep giving what we have because we know it's a duty for us. That's the thing. We look it as a duty for us.
Yeah.
If I'm going to sacrifice all what I have, we are
Yeah.
going to do it. But
Yeah.
one day, of course, we know we are going to build it. حنبنيه and Sudan will rise again. For sure, will rise again.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that we should not hope for, and this I always say this to whatever every time that we talk about Africa issues, it's for the international support, or international communities, as we say, because the guys like UN, they're the one that have been responsible for decades for what is happening in Congo for decades, and they're causing death every single day. This is something that we cannot hope for. But the question comes here that even our neighbors and us Africans, we are not stepping up. We are not stepping up to speak. We are not stepping out to support. We are not stepping out for anything. And which I mean is, yes, there might be few people supporting, but it's not enough. This is the continent that has 54 different countries. It's more than 1.3 billion people. There's something that Africa can do to stop what is happening in Sudan. Right. So we as Africans, we are listening now. All right. We are listening now, because this is what I hope. If Africa will come together in unity and stand with the people of Sudan, then I believe that there will be a breakthrough, because divided Africa and conflicted Africa is better for them. That's why I'm saying if they're not gonna help, they're not gonna step up. They'll show that image, but we know what is really going on, behind the closed door. But we need to remind our people that this is not just Sudanese, crisis. This is African crisis, right? And in the times like this is the moment that we need to come together in unity and support one another. And what can we do? What can we do in the government level? What can they do as our governments to support what is happening? If every single country in Africa decide that, okay, we'll take like 2,000 refugees or 1,000 refugees, how many refugees? And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna use that name. I'm sorry, I'm taking that back, because African cannot be a refugee in his or her own continent. All right, they are Africans, they are not refugees. So what can we, especially for our governments, if each government decide to take 1,000 African from Sudan or 500 African from Sudan, then we'll reach the goal, right? And our people, innocent lives of women, children, and men as well, they're not gonna be wasted, because we're talking about the future of Africa. We're talking about the future of Sudan, and it's our future as well. We must be concerned about it. We must worry about it. We must do something about it. And individuals, all right, because individuals, we have a part to play. There's something that we can do. What can we do to raise awareness? What can we do to support what is happening in Sudan? And that's what I want us to go to that direction right now, because whenever Africa come together, if Africans we come together, I mean, nothing is impossible. I know nothing is impossible, and there will be a change and there will be a breakthrough in Sudan. But we need to bring our people together. We need everybody to talk about this. Every African to talk about this, whether you're in the diaspora or in the continent. You gotta talk about this. You gotta do something about this, because it's really sad, when you are in a situation like this, and you are struggling with war and food and all this stuff, and also you feel like you're alone. Not feel like you are alone in all of this, and you got nobody. And we say that we're Africans. That's hypocrisy. So what can we do? What should we do? All those that I know I'm not even supposed to ask you guys this question, because as long as you're African, you gotta do something. I mean, you're African. You have a family, you have a dad, you have a mom, you have a brother.
Mika, it goes beyond, before it going to the African level. If we're going to talk about accountability, if we want any kind of right or space to be holding the international arena accountable, our fellow African sisters and brothers accountable. As Sudanese, we need to hold ourselves accountable. We still have Sudanese who have no idea what's happening in El Guinea, what's happening in West Darfur, or how the Nuba Mountain got to where it is, or why Nubians in the Shamaliya don't speak their languages, or why they have to go abroad to connect or have any kind of formal connection with their land. We, as Sudanese, have a lot to learn within each other, from each other, about each other. We have a lot to apologize to each other for, and actually be accountable to that apology, and learn and be okay to say, I'm wrong, I didn't know. And that's not an excuse, but this is how I'm fixing it now. As Sudanese, we need to do that first. And I don't think we have any right to ask for Africans, and by Africans, you know, Mika, and anyone who's heard me before, by Africans, I'm talking about Africa with a K for kinship, and I'm talking about Mama Africa and all her children everywhere. I'm not just talking about the continent that is Africa. We have to hold ourselves accountable to the ways that we allowed for the misinformation, to be able to connect to our Africa. So many. As a Sudanese, we're neighboring Eritrea. I had no idea what Isaias was doing in Eritrea. In my name, that the so-called government that did it in my name and my religion supported Isaias to get into power. And I had no idea what was happening in my name to the Eritreans. I had no idea what was happening in my name to my fellow Darfuris. We have to take accountability within ourselves first, and I'll leave it there, and then we can. I'm sure everyone here has something to say to that.
100%, Nima. I agree. I think the other important thing is that we need to learn from our history. You know, Rwanda and other countries have experienced the exact same thing that Sudan is experiencing right now. And if you look at Rwanda now, it's able to build itself. You know, so we need to learn from our own history, from our own neighbors, as Michael was saying, and what can we do from now to start rebuilding Sudan. We already know that the Sudanese people, once they stand together, they make the impossible possible. Sarah earlier, you know, stressed out that we were able to throw out the Bashir. They were able to, you know, the people stood together and they became so powerful, and they were able to make the impossible possible. So to stress what Michael was saying, you know, what can we do as the whole African nation, the continent, to stand together and start rebuilding each other, learn from our history, learn from those who colonized us. Take the good. Yes, colonization, by all means, it was the worst thing that happened to Africa. But what good came from it that we can learn and stand up on our own 2 feet again?
I want to add that if Mika remember like our discussion during the revolution of Sudan, I have said like the revolution in Sudan is actually the revolution of Africa itself. So because first Sudan is the word that describe the sub-Saharan Africa from Eritrea till Senegal there. So this revolution is not just inside Sudan, but actually it's outside Sudan. This is first. And also like during this revolution, the young people start saying like because the Bashir trying to exclude the people from Darfur and saying like these are thugs from Darfur, and the young people start saying like ya unsur maghruk al-balad Darfur, like oh racist or arrogant, all the countries Darfur. So this is change minding, you know, the minds are changed. So I really want to link what's happening in Africa and what's happening in Sudan. And if this revolution like succeed in Sudan, this will give a spirit to all the neighbor countries and a spirit to all Africa to revive again. So that's why it's really important to support it, and it's really important to stand with the young people in Sudan and support the transitional power in Sudan, and yeah, that's what I want to say. And also before we go further, like the commenting of what Dima said before, we should really focus on like neglecting the language of exclusion, because in the first place what have created the RSF is the exclusion of people of Darfur. Like the Bashir was trying to exclude them from the country, so they created some Janjaweed or whatever to kill them. And now we should really start, because Sudan is the size of UK, Spain, France, and Portugal, and even Germany, all combined. So, and it has 19 ethnicities, at least, different ethnic groups, I mean, and more than 400 tribes. So this country, we should really like neglect the language of exclusion. Like all the Sudanese are Sudanese, and we should like very try to amplify this word and accept whatever like the person in front of us. And in the first place, Arabs and Africans are all like part of the land, and we are all Sudanese. And even like the North Africans are also like part of us, you know. So they should start rethinking, like not trying to divide themselves, and this is North Africa and this is South Africa and this is the middle of Africa, whatever, these all namings, you know. So Africa is one, and there is no place for language of exclusion in Sudan and outside Sudan. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Anyone else? We're talking about African countries' involvement, and if our vision is towards one Africa, a one Africa of solidarity and peace and love. And our mission is to defend the image of Africa, and to bring back all the heritage, to decolonize the mind through authentic knowledge, and to create a bridge for oneness and peaceful Africa. That is our mission. So this is really like speaking to me direct to my heart, that it is a time for African unity. And I think most of our countries, we are facing through the same thing. Like these issues, they're happening every single day. Today is happening in Sudan, tomorrow you find it in Somalia, Ethiopia, and then you find in Mali, you find in Burkina Faso, you find everywhere. And in a way, we are all connected. We're one people. It's really important. If you're listening to this, and if you I don't know, I mean, there's nothing extra we could say about this. We're not trying here to to make you guys feel pity about us, but this is the reality of our people. We always say that Africa is 55 different children. We have 55 different children, 54 countries here in Africa, and one diaspora all across the world. So we are children, from the same dad and mom. We Africans. So you have responsibility to do something, and this is the starting point. So right now I would like to ask for the audience, people who are watching, if you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section before we close this session. If you have any question, you can drop down in the comment section, and in the meantime, I'll go around to every single one of you to give your final statement, anything you like to say, something that maybe you didn't say and you like just to close up, and then we're gonna be checking on questions and giving to you guys. As I say, this is the beginning. We're gonna continue. We will decide in our chat when we can do the next one. I would love to do this as regular as we can, because there might be a lot of things to cover and a lot of topics to talk about, and you guys can suggest as well. So we can do this continuously until we see peace in Sudan. I'm dedicated. I want to do that with you guys. So maybe I can start with Oshi. Oshi, what would be your final statement? And at the same time, you guys who are watching, you can drop your questions in the comment section.
Okay, as a final statement, actually, I would like to thank every doctor, every activist, every nurse, every guy or girl or woman or anyone who's doing any effort inside this circumstances. Like nowadays, doctors they sleep in the hospitals. There is lack of stuff. There is lack of everything. They have been with us through the line, through the whole journey, the revolutionary journey. So I hope to see any African initiatives, because as Damien once say, Africa must wake up, sleeping saints of Jacob. So yeah, we need to reunite. We need to realign our cases, our causes. We need to apologize to each other, as Dima said. We need to face our problem and to encourage it and to relieve it and to refix it. So yeah, so we pray the war stops now, stops today before later. So as a part of a resistance committee, I would say, and I know that their message always, that the resistance committee will always be there, will always be fighting to see the Sudan which we were always dreaming of. So thank you, Mika, and thanks everyone for this great opportunity to share our feelings first and our case and our cause. So I really do appreciate it. And yeah, حرية سلام وعدالة. Thank you.
Appreciate Oshi. Sarah, you'll be next, but also there's something for you in the private chat. So would you read that, and you'll come next after Gamila. So I'll give Gamila to go, and you'll be next.
First of all, I would like to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for the safe space. Thank you for having us. Thank you for creating this a space to talk about what's going on in our country, to talk about what our people are going through. And this is what we have been getting since the beginning of the war, especially from our two neighboring people, like our brothers and sisters in Ethiopia and Tigray. They invited us several times to join their spaces, especially people in Tigray, like they've been through this before. War is like having conflicts in Sudan is not new, but having a war like this is the first time. Some of us are still in that denial phase, like, no, it's not happening, it's not real, not Sudan, not Khartoum. But every day, like, we wake up on that to make to believe that it's, to see that it's a real thing, and we have to work on it. We have to help our people. We have to people who are fleeing out of the country. People are crowded at the borders, and I hope that, like, the bordering countries, like, to give the refugees access and to give them admission centers and offices that have the capacity to receive and process incoming travelers seeking embedded safety. And this is the least that we expect from our neighboring countries. Sudan was always a generous country, always opened its doors to people who are fleeing from war. But we're not getting the same thing. The Western countries, we didn't put that much of a high expectation because, and Dima said a lot about why the color, why the African people, why we are the least to get the attention, we are the least to get the support. But as Oshi said, as a African community, we could do a lot if we rethink about who we are and whom do we belong to and what we should do. I think we have the resources, we have the land, we have the labor, we have every resources to make us strong, to make us, we just need to get together. And I think this space and coming space in the future spaces, it should be the start of like the planning, the seed of organizing something bigger to help not just Sudan, to help every African countries. Once again, thank you for the support. Dima, thank you for the powerful words and the passion. And I learned a lot from this space. When I feel so frustrated, when I feel overwhelmed, I just go join the Ethiopian spaces or Tigray. I come back like a little bit stronger, so I can to get myself together and work on helping my people. Thank you again.
Appreciate that, Gamila.
I just want to say, I guess, that, I mean, I'll echo Oshi and Dima's comments about we have a lot of reconciliation to do, not just internally within Sudan. We've had a long history of divisiveness and being pitted against each other, and the neglect and marginalization and oppression of certain people at the for the benefit of others. This is something that I guess is part of the colonial legacy that unfortunately has carried through into our modern history as Sudanese people. But also, there's a lot of reconciliation to do between Sudan and the rest of Africa. Over the last 30, 40, 50 years, we have been systematically removed from the African sphere. We've been told that we are not African, that we are in fact Arab, as ridiculous as that sounds, but it's been drilled into us and beaten into us, I'll say. I think a lot of African people have the yes, Dima, a lot of African people have the misconception that this was something that Sudanese people just swallowed or accepted willingly. This has been bloody, murderous policy over the last 50 years to ensure that Sudanese people do not see themselves as African. This is something that has been, like I said, beaten into us, right? And now has become a fact of life. But if you grow up in an environment that tells you you're not African, that tells you you are not this, you are that, and force feeds it to you, and then you have generations that just grow up in this environment, it's not surprising that this would be their mindset. But that's what the revolution, part of what the revolution accomplished is opening us up to the reality that we are part of the African continent, that this Arabization of Sudan, this Islamization of Sudan has been done for the benefit of the people in power and their allies abroad, and not necessarily for the benefit of the people. This has nothing to do with the people. And Dima, in the private chat, mentioned something really important, which is right now we're looking at what's happening in Khartoum. We're focused on that, as we have been historically, unfortunately, at the expense of the people of marginalized areas like Darfur, where right now conflict is raging between the RSF and the SAF, and that is being and that tribal relationships are being exploited. Tribal tension is being exploited to add to the fire of this conflict, right? And the people of Jinena and West Darfur have come out with a statement saying that this has nothing to do with us, the people. This is not a tribal issue, right? They are trying to frame this conflict as being two warring tribes against each other that are wreaking havoc in a Jinena, when actually this is a political ploy, right? This is part of the legacy of the Darfur conflict. The government using tribal affiliations, tribal tensions, conflicts that in the past have been resolved, that were small, regular conflicts between communities that have been resolved within communities, that now you are arming people, you are pitting them against each other, you're giving resources to one at the expense of the other, and then watching it play out and saying, oh, well, that's what they're like over there, right? Claiming that this is just how it's always been, and that, not admitting your involvement and your direct involvement in that. And I think it's important now, especially in light, in the aftermath of the revolution, where we said we are all Darfur, to talk, we talk the talk, let's walk the walk, right? And people are doing that now. People in Darfur have been vocal about the fact that this is not the community's issue. This is just an extension of the fight between Burhan and Hemeti, right? And we have to follow in their footsteps. We have to support them in that. So, I guess my message to my African brothers and sisters is that our revolution worked very hard to get us reacquainted with you all and get us back into the fold, right? Back into the fold of the African family. Don't give up on us yet. We're working very hard. We're fighting very hard to see that through. Just be patient with us and support us, please.
Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Yes, Dima.
Thank you. Always. Be patient with us, but also be patient with you, fellow African sisters and brothers. Remember that at the core of it, this is a psychological warfare that continues to be waged upon all people of indigenous and African ancestry. And recognize again the power of our languages, and recognize that I have to make a distinction between indigenous and African, because if we're going to talk about the international system, they do make that distinction, although according to their definition, indigenous means anyone who continues to practice their culture alive and well in the face of oppression. And as far as I'm concerned, every single person of African ancestry is that. But I want to remind you all, I want you to go back to the start of our revolution. I don't refer to our revolution as something in the past. If I'm going to say since, I'm going to say since it started, because our revolution continues, because our revolution keeps going, because that is the definition of the word revolution. It continues to revolve like the sun. Before the Greek Latinized Re, it's revolution. It keeps going. You don't stop, revolutions don't stop, like the power of the people. Right? I want you to go back to when we first started going out in the street, December 2018 and early 2019. And I want you to trace and find how many sisters and brothers from the continent and the diaspora rose up, showed up for us. In Kenya, our sisters and brothers in front of the Supreme Court. And I know I say this a lot, but it bears reminding, because I want you to now compare it to what's happening now. And it's not to say that they're not there, but there is a difference in the numbers. There is a difference in the consistency. There is a difference in how they're showing up. And it's not out of lack of interest, not out of them not believing in us or in our cause anymore. It's that everyone is fighting a different fight. The Kenyans were the first to come out and say, or at least to my knowledge, were the first to come out and say in front of the Supreme Court, hey, Kenyan government, what are you doing in our name to support the people of Sudan and their calls for democracy? But the Kenyans today have to deal with the fact that their government is lifting the sanctions against GMO seeds, and so that their indigenous seeds, their farmers, their peasants, the Kenyan Peasants League and the indigenous communities can no longer use their ancestral seeds. They will be criminalized. They will have to go to prison if they're using seeds that have been passed to them by their ancestors. That's the Kenyans. The Ethiopians and the Tigrayans and the Eritreans who came out in support on their land and in the diaspora. Look at what's happening right now. Who has the capacity to stop and look at what's happening in Sudan? And if we think this is coincidental, we need to think again. We really need to think again. Because it's not to say that our African family, our global African family isn't showing up. Is that every time there is a hint of us coming together, every time there is a hint of mobilization, every time there is a whiff of genuine grassroots unity, they recognize that the time is coming. And it's a TikTok that's not, it's not the viral kind. It's going to crush them. That's their time coming when we continue to come together. And so they need to keep putting information, and they need to keep distracting, and they need to send you things that make you think that this revolution is done. This revolution will not stop, not for one day, not for 1 hour, not for 1 minute. Please recognize the spiritual component of this revolution of consciousness. I take a moment to honor our martyrs, to honor their families, to honor the sacrifice, and to honor their camps.
In in that, another, I'll go to Sati. But as you're closing up, I will be mentioning some questions as well, because a lot of people they drop questions here. So Sati, as you're saying your final words, you can also maybe try to answer this question from the Jamaican. He say, is it race or religion the glue that holds the Sudanese people together?
Everyone spoke very beautifully in terms of closing. A lot of the stuff I wanted to say have been covered. I just want to stress thank you for providing this space and allowing us to speak here, and for people to come together. Hopefully, our word will go out, and every single African nation, every single African country will actually get together and hopefully unite, because we know the people are the glue. We cannot wait for others to come and lend a handing hand. We have to do everything ourselves. So I'm very optimistic and I'm very hopeful that Sudan and other African countries are going to rise and become stronger than ever. So this is just a little hiccup. This is a huge test. It's a huge exam actually that we're going through. But we're going to come out of it a lot stronger and better and more united than ever. And I'm very optimistic about that. The last thing I wanted to say is that our mental health is very important. And for us to continue fighting and to keep standing up and rising is to take care of ourselves. So for everyone who's listening, for everyone who is here in this platform, if you're not here and you're listening later, please, everybody, just take care of your mental health. Do a lot of self-care, because our health is our wealth. And without it, we're not going to be able to push forward. We're not going to be able to rise. So for everybody, just please, your mental health is very important. And right now, the Sudanese people are still processing. They're still in the shock phase of everything that's going on. So since the war broke, nobody was able to process. They're still not processing what is happening. Everybody's still shocked. So we have a lot of healing to do moving forward. And I hope that we can be together and stand together to help one another heal and become strong.
Yeah, appreciate that. Nuri, you can go next, but also you can answer question from Reggie. He says, how can we Africans in the West support our brothers and sisters in Sudan?
First of all, thank for everyone who come and participate. For Sarah, Jamila, and Lujain, and Qasim, and Dima, who accepted the invitation and come and enlightening us and teach us about what we didn't know about our country and about our continent. Just by closing, I will say, like, I'm also very optimistic, as Lujaina just said. I'm very optimistic, since we went out in the street and we organized ourselves as resistant committees in Sudan, and our chanting, and now organizing meetings and sessions to raise the voice and teach each other about our continent. So I'm very optimistic, and of course, at the end of every tunnel there is a light. So and what's happening in Sudan now is we are in the dark of the tunnel, but of course we will reach to the light one day. Well, of course, I remember during some aggressions to many countries, the social media played very important role. The people in Africa, in Europe, and well, in the mainland, they all can help with sharing information, teaching each other about their countries, start to speak more and very bravely about their crises and their problems, not be shy of, they're always like trying to putting you in this scope of, yeah, Africa is full of crisis, nothing will be changed, and it's the thing that you have created to yourself, and it's your problems, and so forth and so forth. Yeah,
yeah, some of them are our problems, so some of them are our issues, and we have created that. But we will stand and we will continue and we will be always since the before the colonization and now. So yeah, please guys, keep sharing, keep educating, keep all African countries in your heart and your praise and your voices, and keep well, yeah, keep talking about them, and help with every mean that you can do. Like all the organizations around you, please contact them and let them know about the situation in Sudan, and like provide everything that they can provide to Sudan and the people in whole, the continent, of course. And yeah, that's all. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for giving us this interesting session. Thank you,
Appreciate that.
Mika, for hosting us. Yeah.
Appreciate that. We have two questions here that I'll read them, at the same time, and if you guys can answer as well. One is, what has been done to close the gap for tribes that feel marginalized by the people of Northern Sudan, and the second one is democracy possible in Sudan as long as military enterprises exist? The army will always undermine democracy to protect their financial interests. Example, Egypt and Uganda. Those are two things. Anyone who is interested to answer these or to give you insight?
Can I? I'll take a stab at it.
All right.
So the question about what's been done to bridge the gap is a really interesting one. I think, like I said before, the revolution made way for people to start having these conversations. Sudan, over the 30 years of al-Bashir, has really been divided and segregated in a very intentional and robust way so that these conversations cannot happen. But the revolution made way for people to get together, to come together, particularly in places like the Khartoum sit-in, where for the first time many people were, from north and west or east and west, were having very real conversations about their experiences as Sudanese people, how they've been living as Sudanese people in their respective regions, and sort of trading notes, right? Comparing notes on how the government has oppressed them, or how, a lot of people, especially in Khartoum, were educated for the first time about what was going on in Darfur, things that they did not know about because they were kept in the dark deliberately by the government, right? So the revolution sort of gave way for these conversations to start happening and for these connections to start being rebuilt. But like we mentioned during this discussion, we've been fighting actively against the military that wants to take us back to where we were before, that doesn't want us to move forward in that. And so have there been great strides made in this respect? Maybe not, because we're still fighting for our lives. Our revolution, as Dima said, is not over. It's still happening, right? And so, but the difference, the marked difference that we're seeing now is that when in the past, no Sudanese person outside of the West, outside of Western Sudan, would be talking about what's going on in Darfur. Now, many of us are. You'll see people talking about it in Eastern Sudan, in the North. You'll see people talking about it in Southern Sudan. So these conversations are now happening in a way that they were not happening before. We are, the revolution has trained us to be in tune of what's happening in other places, in other parts of the country that maybe we weren't, that weren't on our radar before. So in that sense, that's been a development. And of course, one that hopefully, if we are to push the military out and get the civilian government that we've been fighting for 4 years, that we'll see that all the way through. Which brings me to my next question, which is there going to be democracy if the military is involved? My personal opinion, no, there's no way. We've seen it. It's 4 years, 30 years, 50 years actually of military rule. Add to it 4 years of active battle against the military that says it wants democracy and says it wants freedom, peace, and justice, but really has been doing everything to prove the opposite, everything to keep those from happening. So is democracy possible with a military regime? The West will tell us yes. They'll say, be reasonable, be realistic. But the reality, if we want to be realistic, is that it is impossible for the Sudanese people to be free, have peace, and have justice if the military is involved in their governance. Oh, and the last thing I want to say, the question that was asked about how you can help as Africans in the diaspora, there is a website called eyesonsudan.net that have all the resources, all the fundraisers, all of the things that you can write to your representatives, the templates that you need for the people who are living in the West, to write to your Western government representative to see what can be done, the protests that are being organized by Sudanese communities worldwide to bring attention to this. You will find all of that information on that website.
Actually, if I may
Appreciate that.
jump also to the same question, regarding the coming close together, actually the revolution itself and Al-Qiyada sitting, actually the Qiyada sittings made everybody sees, made everybody eat together, see together, share the knowledge, the informations. Like there is always what it called camps or booths, let's say booths for Jabal Nuba, Nuba Mountains, for the Al Hamish, for everybody there who were saying their problems. Even in the Shimalia, they think there is prosperity. No, they have no food, they have nothing, no education. They every year most of them die from the beating of the scorpions and all that. So people start sharing the information. And when Al Qiyada massacre came here, the people saw who is the Janjaweed and so who is Burhan and so the Islamic regime when they see like the kills doesn't differentiate your color or your tongue or your religion, so they know. And then again the coup came and all that, it keep opening our eyes, keep enlightening the people with all what is happening on. Okay, regarding the military in our charters, the committee charters, we had the solution for that. You have to cut the legs of the army completely. They have to go to their barracks. They have to stay away. All the money should go to the Minister of Finance, and nobody out in the forces, regardless of its type. It all has to go through the banking system and everything. So because of that, they mustn't have any enterprises. And this is the real fight, by the way. They fight for the power and everything. Even if they didn't want rule, they want to keep it, but they won't keep it. We will make sure they won't keep it, and this is the right way. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Dima, Dima, do you mind to answer this question as well? Dima and Sati as well, because this question was raised a while back about is religion and race hold together. Let me see, rephrase it correctly. It says, is it race or religion the glue that holds the Sudanese people together?
Right. I think we said that in the beginning of the session, in juxtaposing and understanding, engaging and embracing our history within the context of it. What's keeping the Sudanese people together and growing is our combined heritage. As different as it is in our different experiences, expressions, languages, practices, and how we choose to show up. The point is we're showing up, and that's the one thing that's been consistent and continuous from the start of this movement. How we are showing up for each other. As my sisters and brothers here have already shared, specifically the sit-in outside the army headquarters, which didn't get nearly anywhere as coverage as one would imagine or one would hear, just, not to compare not to get into an oppression Olympics here, but just by seeing how certain things were covered, you had 2 million people in Tahrir, and every single walking newspaper and audio and radio, and even in Exeter, I was in a village. That you can drive from border to border in that village, and the local newspaper of that village had Walk Like an Egyptian and had the photos of the 2 million Egyptians. We had over 5 million people sat outside the army headquarters, and that is just followed and traced by the phone companies that conveniently switched off so that they stop us knowing what's actually happening. We had over 5 million people. I'm calling in from Washington, D.C. The entire population of the DMV is 6 million. Can you imagine if the entire population of Washington, Virginia, and Maryland came and sat outside the White House? What that sit-in taught us as Sudanese people, as people of that land, on the land and in the diaspora, is that we are more than capable of being a most coherent and harmonious mosaic. We were and continue to be a mosaic. We're now just remembering. And we're remembering because we're breathing. We're having to breathe life back into it. We have to, because that's the only way we can breathe. We have to gasp for air. But as we do it, we breathe life back into how we were a completely functional ecosystem. We had doctors, we had nurses, we had dentists, we had schools, we had kindergartens, we had cleaning committees, we had artists, we had architects, we had entertainment programs, we had sports, we had religious circles, halaqas, we had spirituality, dhikr, we had foreign investments. We had our diaspora chartering full airplanes of Sudanese and channeling money. This again, and it didn't matter where in Sudan you're coming from, or where in Sudan your family are, or where in Sudan your great-great-grandparents are buried, or if you've even been there. I had only lived in Sudan for 2 years when this revolution started. I didn't know how to engage. I was too terrified. I was too scared to speak Arabic because my language was too colonized. It was too colonized too many times because I had to learn English before I learned Arabic because I had to be able to communicate with them. But then when I learned Arabic, I learned the Egyptian Arabic and not the Sudanese Arabic. There are too many levels for us to sit and say race or religion. But what I really do want to call to all children of Africa, understand that we are navigating collectively generational trauma and ancestral trauma and so many things. Don't hold against us that we can speak better Arabic than our indigenous languages. Don't hold against us that we can speak Arabic and not English. Don't hold against us that we can speak English and not Arabic. Don't hold against us that we don't know all our ethnicities. Don't hold against us that we don't know all the traditional practices. Give grace. Give grace. We are finding ourselves, and the questions that we ask connect us far more than the answers we seek. And this is why we keep saying, ask more questions. And please stop waiting for any government to act. Personally, and on a personal level, I don't believe those people in offices in any of the African countries or in our diaspora are leaders. Our leaders are the people doing this work, are the people hosting this space, are the people who are organizing the evacuation, are the people who are sharing, are the people who are calling to check on Sudanese while their own parents are refugees in Sudan and they can't even tell us. So they have to wait 10 days before we even know that their family can't access. So what you can do is humanize Sudan. And I don't mean humanize as in human I-Z-E. No, I mean human eyes Sudan. See Sudan through your human eyes and see Sudan through its humans' eyes and ask more questions. And ask more questions and connect it to what your own struggle is. And please, please, solidarity and not charity. If you are giving money as charity, if you are giving your time as charity, please, please, save it. We bless you for it. May it multiply for you. But if you are here as charity and not because our liberation is tied to yours, Save it. Please save it.
Guys, appreciate that, Dima. Well, before I let you go, guys, I would like you guys also to share your, social media where everybody can find you. You can drop actually in the comment section so that everybody can see anywhere that you like to connect with people. As well, there's really final question that somebody dropped through Twitter. It's really nice. I would just like to read this, and anyone can answer that shortly. He said, "What do you think will be the ultimate outcome of the current fighting? Sustained civil war, another so-called transition period, following an agreement between SAF and RSF, or something else?" Should I read that again?
Please.
Yes. What? Okay, let me try to put it here on the screen. It'll be very easy for you guys to see this one here. It's right here. What do you think will be the ultimate outcome of the current fighting?
Death and destruction, nothing more.
All right.
Like, we don't really care who wins. We don't support, we don't cheer. We just want it to stop, because we know we are on the losing sides, regardless of who is winning. And regardless of who is winning, we will be still standing to overthrow them. So yeah, it's a losing side. It's a lose-lose. It never has any sides, any winners of it. So we hope both just stop just right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, guys, I really do want to appreciate you guys for coming here. I know you guys are really busy, especially this time, but coming here and have this conversation is the beginning of something good. Well, I usually end up with a word of prayer, but I'm not gonna hold you guys into that. If anyone here would like to also raise a word of prayer, that would be amazing. You can stay around. But if not, this will be it for today. And appreciate you guys. And let's talk in that group. Prepare for the next one, and just coming here and keep this conversation going. You can carry on from this momentum. Yeah, I love you guys. Hang in there.
Thank you, Mika.
We're here with
Thank
you
you,
guys.
Mika.
Yeah.
Thank you all, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mika. Thank you, everyone, for being here and everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, Sarah left on the last moment, so thank to her as well.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Be well,
Qasim.
You guys
all
are
of
part
you.
of the family now.
Be well.
You are with me, and
Yeah,
I'm going to invite you in the group. So we are together now.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you are Sudanese, so keep sharing,
Oh.
Mika.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You
I'm
are
Sudanese,
Sudanese.
man. Yeah.
Yes.
The next thing I gotta find the local Sudanese name. All right.
No, I told you many nights what the meaning of Sudanese means, so you understand it. So
Oh yeah.
black
Yeah.
man,
I
Sudanese
do.
guy,
I
so
do.
you're part of us. Yeah.
I
See
do,
you.
man. I'm
Thank
Sudanese.
you. Thank
I'm
you very
African.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
Appreciate it.
guys.
Dima, it's good to see you
Appreciate
again.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'll be
Bye-bye, guys.
sharing with you the fundraisers, and
All
if you
right.
share it with everyone, I'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
All right, Black Power.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye bye.
We shall rise.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Amen to that.
Good night, guys.
Amen to that.
Peace
Bye
out.
bye. Wow. All right. Well, I appreciate Truth Nation. I had to put it out here. Okay. Sarah. Yeah, we're just saying bye.
Okay, goodbye. Sorry, I got disconnected, but goodbye. Thank you for having
Yep.
us, and thank you for
Yeah.
holding space, Dan. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah. Most Africans don't think about the fact that having developed and peaceful neighbor countries is a big advantage. It's a big advantage. We should stop not caring about other African countries besides our own. It's very solid message, and I would like to leave that note as I'm closing up this session. That's the reason why we're doing this session here today, and that's the reason why we're having this conversation. So, rethink. It's really sad how selfish we are, and that's a radical truth right there. It's really sad how selfish we are, from the government level all the way to the personal level. Nobody cares about what's going on anymore, and it's sad that we Africans, we don't do that. So let this be a wake-up call, because maybe right now it doesn't really matter to you because nothing is happening in your country, but we're not praying for that. But when something like that happens, you'll be saying the same thing right here. And I think at this point we really need to learn our lessons. After everything that has been happening, going on in this country and that country, we have to learn our lessons and do different. Like, this generation must do better. We have to do better. We have to do better. And the only way out is one Africa, and fight together to stop this. We have to. So much greed, so much selfishness. Just, it's sad. You have seen how, what was happening in Ukraine and how the world came together. So-called European Union and all those different organizations, America, you saw how much attention it was there. But it's not the same thing when something is happening in Africa, because for some reason blame to Africans. Yeah, there are things that we should blame ourselves for, but one thing that we are failing again and again is us not standing together, is us not stepping out together, is us not thinking about our own nationality and be like, what, I'm Sudanese today. If one country in Africa is in trouble, if Sudan is in trouble, all Africans should be Sudanese. You understand that? If one country in Africa is in trouble, all Africans should be that country, because we are Africans and we are connected. All of you guys who are watching here, you all should be Sudanese. And you all should feel the pain that our people are feeling. You all should feel the weight of the blood that is being shed there. More than 500 people have been killed. That's not a small number, guys. 500 people. And think about that. 500 people. Your brothers, your sisters. Well, you can either look away, or you can either do something about it. To the government of Africa, you guys can do something. Those 500 people might have been alive today if you guys step up and evacuate these innocent people away from their country. If African Union step up and evacuate these people, not just stop and giving them, you actually have to do something about that. Words not mean anything. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about what you say because you don't act. So you got to do something about it. If these lives were evacuated from Sudan, these people would have been alive today. And it's not a will of God for them to die like that. That's not the God I know. That's not the God I worship. We have to do something. We must be brothers keepers, right? We must be awakening. We must stand up, rise, and fight for one another. We can't keep asking for international organizations with all their agendas. We can't do that. But we are doing that because when we turn back to our neighbors, they're asking for visa, they're asking for passport, they're asking for money, they're asking for legal documents, and the country is in the middle of the crisis. Where are you gonna get that? It doesn't make sense. It is ridiculous. When one country is in trouble in Africa, all Africans should become that country. So I am Sudanese, right? I am Sudanese. Right now, I'm Sudanese because my brothers and sisters are going through difficulties right now and this trauma. So I hope all of us will raise our voices I hope when you go to Twitter there and you see the trending bar, you see Sudan trending there. Keep your eyes on Sudan. And there's a link. I shared the website. If you guys want to participate, to donate actually something, donate whatever that you got. It will help our people. It will help those wounded, innocent people that are dying right now. And hopefully these two greedy men will stop whatever they're doing for the sake of their country. Because at the end of the day, the country will no longer be there if they keep fighting people. This country is not just the place, but it's people. And if you have 500 plus people dying, what do you expect to have at the end of the day? This war must stop. And that's why I will end this session with a word of prayer, because we do what we can. We do our best. Everything that we can, we must do it. We have to do it. Then at the end of the day, the rest will leave in the hands of Creator, because He knows. He knows. He knows. He knows. So we have spoken. We have shown the way out. What can we do to support? And we are keeping our travels and our people in the hands of God. That intervening Himself as we keep watching and pray. All right, that's the most important thing. Pray for Sudan. Pray for our brothers and sisters in Sudan. Don't worry if the UN, if the international community is not putting so much attention, if the media is not covering it enough. Do not worry, because sometimes it's even better that they're not doing that, because you know what will happen after that. Just know that God knows what is happening, and when we come together as one people, as Africans, and we pray, God listens, and God will heal our land. He will do that. I believe that. So pray all time, all language, all the God is stay here and ask pray and stop. Right? That's what we pray. We have that within a lot of situations again and again. Whenever we pray, we have the answer and this time is not different than any other time. Right? It's the same thing in Sudan. And Sudan shall prevail in peace. Alright? That's what we declare. That's what we pray for. Sudan shall prevail in peace, unity and love. Alright? I see Sudanese people across the world right now coming together. And that is unity right there. Now we're praying for the peace. This is sustainable peace. Right? That's what we pray for. And oh God, I thank you today. We had a very productive session here with brothers and sisters. It's been hard hearing the stories of what's going on the ground, hearing the stories of our brothers and sisters who died. And I know it concerns you directly, because the life that has just gone, it was given by you. You are the creator of life, heaven and earth, and the life. And that life was taken away. What's happening there? So we're asking for your protection to your people, to your children. We're asking for the peace of Sudan. But we're not just hashtagging pray for Sudan, but we are praying for Sudan. That God remember Sudan and all these innocent lives that are wasted. But this is not how it should end, right? Because you are the God of peace. And you hear when we cry, you hear when we pray. I pray that right now that you bring that peace, this beautiful country. Beautiful country. It's for the sake of the future of this beautiful nation, for the sake of the future of Africa, and we are asking you to intervene. We're going to do everything we can, everything that is in no power. You are God who holds all power. You know the agenda behind it. You know what is going on behind the scene. Because God, you know, and you ask Him that you may intervene. Bring peace again to this beautiful nation. That's all. Remember their families. Remember the women and children of this country. Remember the men of this country. Even those who are living outside of Sudan, that they cannot even sleep at night because of what? Because of their family. They're worrying and concerned about their family. I remember that. You are the initiator of family when you created Adam and Eve. That the purpose of the family to multiply and fill the earth. What is happening right now is not killing the earth, but it's refusing the earth. That's not your will. So pray. And ask, humbly ask that you may remember this. And above all, God, repent for you all these things that we do. Us as brothers and sisters turn on each other, heal one another. Whatever the reason that has taken our lives. These are our people who are killing one another. We are killing one another. The life that you have set up takes our neighbor and ourselves. So I think that there will be awakening the neighbors, neighboring countries, and Africans in the continent, all around the continent, all around the world. There will be awakening. For us to condemn what is happening and to stop what is happening by actions, not by words. I pray God, and I'm humbly asking you, remember Sudan tonight. Remember Sudan tonight. Remember Sudan tonight. I thank you because there is nothing that you cannot do. Say, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and turn away their wicked ways, I shall hear from heaven. I shall heal their land, and I shall forgive their sins. And that's what we are asking here today. Thank you. Thank you for the good times, and thank you for the bad times. Thank you because you listen. Thank you because you hear. Everybody who is watching this right now will watch. Let them be a witness of what you're going to do in Sudan. Sudan shall rise again. Sudan shall stand again. It shall not fall. That's what we see in the media. It's what they say. That this has never happened before. There will no more be Sudan. But God, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. That Sudan shall be there. Even after what has happened, Sudan shall stand again, and we shall celebrate. Sudan shall stand again. Sudan shall not fall. Sudan shall not fall. So all those news and all those negative words that we hear from everywhere, the fall of Sudan, God, it shall not come to us, because you are the God. You are the God. You are the God. And we just thank you because you're doing that, because your word says so. Not because we're asking you to do it, because this was in your calendar. This is done. We are aligning our hearts, our desires, our pride with you. We're turning back to you and asking you to remember to come. Thank you for the peace of this country. Thank you for the people of this country. And at the end, we shall all remember what you have done to this country. Thank you and giving you praise. For where men feel that it is impossible, for God, everything is possible. And even this is possible. To you, in a second, just look at that. You can just turn things around and ask you to do so. Lord, thank you. Precious name of God. Thanksgiving. Amen. 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 Well, thank God for Sudan. And anticipate because thank God for listening. God wants it. So you just wait and see. You just wait and see. When we're 25 people watching here from YouTube, I don't know from Twitter and Facebook, we're shared everywhere. But when we come together in unity, in one accord, and faith in the same thing, all of you guys say you want to when you come together, pray for that, God hears. God is going to respond. All right? So for the minutes that I pray here, all of us, if we pray, imagine how many hours God is listening. So I want to encourage you guys doing that. You're saying that, oh, I don't have money to link. I don't know. I only have one follower on my Twitter. It's meaningless for me to share. All right, pray. Stand. They are all family. I am Sudanese. Guys, I am Sudanese. Yes, that's one of the things. Maybe people might not see you praying. God sees you praying. Because of your prayer, and I'm not shaking. All right, I'm not shaking. I will never be shaken. You guys, that's how we push, pray until something happens, and we're expecting. I have hope. We have hope for Sudan. We have hope for that. Sudan shall not fall. And if you can, spread that messages online. All right, I'm going to tweet right now. Okay, I'm going to tweet right now. This is the word of faith. Sudan shall not fall. First capital letter. Sudan shall not fall. Put that right now there. Dear Heavenly Father, He listens. Right? None shall not fall. None shall prevail. All right. So if you can tweet, you can share there, go and do so. All right. Sudan shall not fall. That's not what we are hoping for, but we are blessing God for all the good things. It's good to see my brother Biggie there. It's good to see you guys. Well, thank you, family, for being here. Yeah, let me do this. All right, I feel you. Let me do this. It's good to see everybody, and thank you guys. God is going to heal the land of Sudan, and is healing the land of Sudan. Sudan shall not fall. Sudan shall stand, and we shall celebrate that. All right. Stay in the mood of receiving good news from heaven, and it's going to be manifested to us physically as well. We'll be able to see. So I want to appreciate everybody who joined here today, everybody who shared, everybody who commented, everybody who participated, and I want to thank the beautiful panel that we had here today. These are gonna be continuously panel, and we'll be talking about this in the days to come as well. Just gonna chat with the guys to know when when we can do this again. But I love you guys, and I just gotta go to rest now. Yes. All right. I love you guys, and you can still share this link, whatever you see, even after this live stream. All right. I'll leave you with the good video at the end. Okay. Appreciate, guys. I love you. I see you later. See you tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow we have a session. I'll be having a conversation here with the founder of Africa Asia Summit. It's coming up on May, and we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff. About that summit that is coming. I think it will be in Addis Ababa, and just there'll be a lot of conversation. So come and join us tomorrow, and come Kawakula, we say, as we continue to pray and remember Sudan in our prayer. I love you guys. See you next time. First of all, I think every African should be doing what I do, like everybody, because of who we are, right? We're African. We should love Africa. When I went to South Korea, I realized that Africa is being perceived and viewed very different. I realized that, well, the media, what I see on TV, what people talk about Africa, even my friends, they don't really know about it. It's very negative. It's very negative. That was 2013, and I was like, I must change this. So I started actually there in South Korea. I started to go to schools, to like elementary school, like kindergarten, elementary, middle school, high school. I started to go there. That was like my part-time job. I went to, like in Korea, I went to every single city in Korea. I went everywhere in that country, and I was going to these schools. One day I went even close to North Korea. Like there's this one place called Paju. It's just next to North Korea. Like you see North Korea is there, South Korea is here. I went there and I went to kindergarten. These little kids, and these little kids, when they see you, some of them, they start to cry. They just see you, they say, why are you crying? So I was like, why are you crying? So they're scared. These are little kids, but that's what they have been seeing on TV. That's what, like, sometimes some of them, even their parents teach them like that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build a new system that is for Africans. It's for us. A new system that it will support us. It will challenge authorities here in Africa, right? And it will challenge as well to defend and protect the image and heritage of Africa, right, from outsiders, Westerners, Easterners, and to build pretty much a new system, because before colonialism we had a different system, right? During colonialism we had a different system. After that we're still struggling with this system, right? And our forefathers like Haile Selassie, Julius Kambarage Nyerere, Kwame Nkrumah, Kaunda, and so many others, they tried to build a new system after colonialism that unite all Africans, right, to become one. And they did their part, right? And now they're gone. Nobody's here right now. So it's our responsibility right now as the sons of Africa to actually carry on with that move and that fight. And that's what One Africa is standing for. One Africa is not about me personally, but it's about us.
So the lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell us about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man, that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere to divide Africa like a piece of cake because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them.